Hello, I am the ghostly President of the United States of America. What happened was, during the presidential elections, I asked a friend of mine, a proper American, a citizen of the United States, if he'd vote for me in the event of I was voting in the election. I said to him I would have been if I could. He said yes, he would vote for me. So I had one honest-to-goodness vote during that election. I now find, although that was tongue-in-cheek at the time, that the President of the United States is not so. He is disqualified. He is not a citizen of that country any more than I am, but he's not even British. America was started from Britain, and at one time to be British and to be American was the same thing. Now Mr. Obama has been disqualified by virtue of the fact he's been dishonest about his birth. He has instituted the NDAA, the Patriot Act and other acts which are hostile. They're inimical to the free life of a republic and of a free nation. He is therefore proved himself traitorous. The common suspicion is that he is acting on behalf of the British Crown or other unknown hostile foreign powers. Congress has been constantly subsumed and suborned for the last 40 years. Both parties are owned, as they put it, by foreign and a domestic group. I'm thinking of the Tsar Nazis, but they're all acting in an orchestrated fashion, ostensibly on behalf of the British Crown, but I think actually the part of the British Crown plays is actually probably minor. I don't know, I think it's more of a cabal rather than just a one-man show. And it's all about the central banks subsuming and grabbing control of the world's finances to suit themselves. We all know who we're talking about. So it's the old enemy, the British Crown, and as far as all the people are concerned, the old enemy is in fact the central banks, the big banks, and they have been since the early Middle Ages. In fact, they were during Roman times. The hidden agenda that these people espouse, which is humanicide, they do it for reasons of, quite frankly, irresponsible, selfish, juvenile ideas that only they should rule the earth or even have any part of the earth, and the rest of us are so inferior we should be just got rid of. They're using GMO crops, which is a weaponised crop. That is, it will grow for 60 years even, and then it will just stop growing. It will never reproduce again. And because it's highly successful with certain insects, that's all there will be. There won't be any alternatives, that everyone will just starve to death. GMO and chemtrails, we don't know what they're doing, but it's undoubtedly bad for you. Pharmaceutical chemicals, which are supposed to be vaccines even, for children, and they've all been weaponised against us. This incessant warmongering that's been going on, mostly instituted by the CIA, which is designed to end the world in nuclear Armageddon. It's designed for that. I remember reading about it many years ago. The grandiosity of the military. You've got your generals acting like so many little prima donnas with their damn silly uniforms and their damn silly medals, and quite unaware of what's going on underneath their own noses, if we are to believe them. And the foreign policy that the United States has in fact been pursuing for years is just to keep control of the money, but America's never had control of the money. It's the banks in Europe that control the money. So the whole thing's just damn silly. And it's all put together with this New World Order rubbish. Well, it is rubbish. If you go to the United Planet, there's a way to do it. And that way is to marry one nation to another, just as you'd marry a tribe or a family. You just have one language that is your lingua franca and the other for domestic use, until eventually the third or fourth generation no longer see themselves as one or the other, but as a third new nation. And you keep doing that over and over again until eventually you end up with a United Planet. That's how it's done. The New World Order hasn't even begun to say this. All they've got in their minds, the only thing they want to do is to commit humanicide. That is the entire and complete ablation of the human race. But who benefits? Well, not the bankers, who are going to be one of the first to die if this goes on. Not the British Crown, which is long past its glory days. Not the human race, obviously, by definition, we're all dead. Not even the Tsar Nazis, who won't escape. Whatever they think is going to happen, they will not escape nuclear Armageddon. The only beings I can think of who would benefit from all this, who live inside planets so it wouldn't affect them, are the aliens. And we find the aliens are running around the White House. I've seen pictures of it. I know from reported behaviours in the White House and in Washington that you're all under some sort of dire influence that for 30 odd years people amongst you have been going around committing murders, bank robberies, setting up assassinations abroad, destabilising governments. Who the fucking hell do you think you are? You are supposed to be leading a 21st century major nation. You don't behave like this. Anyways, this is the situation now, is that the Congress has been castrated. You are castrated. You're not in control of your own country, you're not in control of your own offices. I didn't mean to rant, so I'll try to control my temper. So it's all inspired and energised by these stupid aliens. They are stupid. And their intentions must in fact be malignant, because there's been 3 recent incidents of 9 Russians were fried to death in 1959. Recently a young couple walking in Arizona were attacked by some monstrous thing, came out of the sky, and they were killed. And the last thing I've seen is just last week I saw the remains of a corpse, a young South American gentleman who was bamboozled to going out for a walk in the forest but out to meet a Tsar Nazi girl, and he met these aliens instead, and you should have seen what they did to him. It's absolute tortures of hell. So these aliens are not what they cracked up to be, and we must be aware of the fact they were under attack. All this New World Order thing, it sounds good, it looks good, but it isn't. It's resulting in wars and death and famine everywhere. How can it be good? And I'm telling you, it's instituted by these aliens. They've got some sort of control over your minds. You must shrug it off and reclaim your humanity. You must be men again. Right, so I said that. So their agenda is humanicide, and the New World Order's agenda is humanicide. You work it out for yourselves. They're under the evil influence, aren't they? The dumb cities for the elites won't be used by the elites at all. They won't live long enough to see them. It's obviously the aliens have got them to build the cities for themselves. In fact, the nuclear Armageddon and all these things put together are going to destroy the entire human race unless it's put a stop to now. So everything that's being done is to destroy humanity. It won't affect the aliens. It will affect the people who are putting it all into place. These idiotic mafia criminals, these stupid politicians, and the silly, ridiculous, juvenile, or senile, whatever you want to call it, British bloody crown, who's none of her business at all what Americans do with their wealth or with their wars. You know, the whole thing is the old enemy, the British crown again. You must grow up overnight, literally right now, because we are under attack, but the attackers aren't the Russians. We've got nothing to do with it. It's not the British people, it's not the American people. Your enemy is in space. So I've named your enemies for you because you couldn't do it yourselves. And I now advise the following actions in the light of Congress as being utterly castrated at this time. And before you're actually all demobbed, because the next move of the Tsar Nazis will be to get rid of Congress altogether. They subsume the judiciary, so all they do is pass a law forbidding you to enter your own building. It's quite simple to do. Right, so here's the things I think you should do. You, members of Congress, you're all blokes, you all know what you're doing. Let's see if you've got backbones after all. 1. Rock the boat. You upend the media, the Tsar Nazi controlled media, by publishing the 28 pages which discusses who did 9/11. Some people think it was the Saudi Arabians. I personally think it was the Tsar Nazis. But whoever it was, that 28 pages of that report, say who it was. We need to know. Get it published. We should institute the Glass-Steagall Act to control the money supply better than we do. We've got to shut down the Federal Reserve right now. Don't even wait. Pass an act of Congress which must be unanimous. Yes, it does. But you don't bother with the bum. You just go and do it. Just pass the Glass-Steagall Act Law 2 with the appropriate amendments and shut down the Federal Reserve as of midnight tonight. They're out of business. They're fired. Yeah, you can do it. Of course you can. You've got to form cross-party coalitions amongst yourselves. Those who watch this video and who realise I am telling the truth, and I have got it right, and so has Mr. LaRouche and all the rest of them, you must form cross-party coalitions. Forget the labels Democrat and Republican, left, right, Tory and Labour. It's all nonsense. They're both owned. They're both fake. You're either Americans and human beings or you're not. Choose now which side you're on. You'll have to go on the air with the truth as much as possible, manky as that truth is. We need to know now, because we can't see off these aliens unless we all pull together. That includes Russia. It includes China. Of course it does. They're human beings. They don't want to die. You're going to have to institute independent proceedings against Obama, Panetta, Mueller, Brennan, the Clintons, and Bush Jr. and Bush Sr. That's how far back it goes. In fact, it goes back even further, but we'll have to stop somewhere. These people are involved for a start with the murder of John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and that little lesser Kennedy, the one that flew off into the air, never seen again. It's all a religious cult, but it's got out of control, but their gods aren't gods at all. I should know. They're aliens. That's what's been happening. They've got mind control, and they've been mind controlled themselves. You need to set up investigative committees on these New World Order cabals. They're just very sick. We would treat our own kind as just very sick. I mean, that's the fairest, most honourable thing to do. They've done the most awful things, all of them, but let's say they're not 100% culpable, that's what I believe. You're going to have to restrain the military actions somewhat. You're going to put a stop to all of them, stand them all down, back to barracks, hold the bloody lot, stand down in Iran, stop all CIA actions everywhere, including, especially in Syria. We know that's the setup. The Americans are setting that up themselves. They're not helping Syria, they're destabilising Syria so they can attack Iran without anyone at their back. We know what they're doing that for. So until further notice, all your military is going to be restrained to barracks, all your planes down. Russia and China will just have to hope and pray have got the goodness and charity in them to let us get over this terrible stage of American history. As we do it now, they'll be safer in the future as well. You're going to have to vote no confidence in the executive and the judiciary, because the judiciary could have stopped a lot of this. All they had to do was alert everybody to the fact the media was being taken over by the same group. All the media, absolutely all of it, in America, is owned and controlled by the Tsar Nazis. Fatal mistake. Fatal. And the judiciary has to have seen all this happening for years and not warned anybody. So you want no confidence in the executive and the judiciary. So where did I get to? I've forgotten what I've got to. Oh yes, the missile defence system. Russia and China are understandably anxious that the missile defence system seems to be going ahead, surrounding Russia and aimed partially at China. Why? The Cold War is over. It's been over for donkey's years now. It is just the American generals going on saber rattling, trying to resurrect an old enemy, because it's easier to fight a defined enemy named Russia or China than it is to fight an amorphous human-wide enemy, as in coin. They can't do it anymore. They haven't got the money. America is bankrupt. Yes, she is. It's what she has been for 30 years. It's been covered up. It's not been removed. Publish all these acts at once. You can do all the lot in 12 hours if you put your minds to it. So there's that kind of filibustering that has done by Mr. Rand Paul last night, but you all do it. You just pass one act after another, you repeal one act after another. Do not wait for Obama to sign them in executive orders. As I tell you right now, he is disqualified. He is not an American citizen. He's lied all along. I gave him a chance to admit the truth and to ask for help to naturalise himself. He's not taken it. So as far as I can say, he's disqualified. He's not the president. And while I'm here, I'm only your ghostly president. There are other people with better claims than me, but at least I'm willing to try. I'm taking the risks just as you will. I say, sign those acts into laws and take my signature, just rubber stamp the damn things. Right? Don't wait for him to sign them. He'll never sign any of it. So I'm your ghostly president. I give you the seal into your keeping for the duration. He can't keep it. He's disqualified. Biden, who's the vice president, never came forward with any notion of all this, so he's disqualified. Okay? There's no one else to put it to. You're not giving it to me. I'm in England. Okay, we can't have two seals in one country. So you must confer amongst yourselves, and somebody has to keep the seal. And he signs the executive orders in the name of the president-to-be. That's the best you can do. Right, so I said to you to shut down the Federal Reserve. You must instantly, straight away, convert the currency you've got. So you can't wait to issue new currency. You convert the currency you've got by stamping it with a blue line or something. Okay, that's the new currency. And you give it, you sign it a value and you assign the value as to the stock and lot you've got, which is gold, silver, plant, infrastructure, anything. You know, you don't want to go to gold if you can avoid it because you haven't got any, basically. But you've got to back that money up with something. And that's what you do. You can't wait for the Federal Reserve to issue you a new currency. They never will. And fiat money is fine as long as you control it, but you haven't. The Federal Reserve has been printing money like no tomorrow for absolutely years. So you freeze the money that's in circulation now. You suspend all the accounts of the Tsar Nazis and the Wall Street bankers who've done this to you, and you stamp the currency you've got with a blue line, or just stamp it with all the rubber stamp, and that's your new currency. That is legal tender, and nothing else is. And at a stroke, you've done an awful lot. Right, that's that one. So the effective board of governors, what you're going to have to do, because you're going to circumvent Obama and his basically circle, his cabal, okay? So you institute a board of governors. They're interim governors, they're guardians. If they do a good job and we all survive this, they're in for life, but otherwise they're not, okay? So the effective board of governors should really be, by virtue of their years of dedicated work towards saving America, Mr. LaRouche, Ron Paul, Rand Paul, David Petraeus, who did try to warn people before he was fired, Martin Dempsey, because he is leader of the army, you need the army on board. If they're later rehabilitated, Hillary Clinton, who's a woman of great ability, but I don't know, this is up to you, and even Barack Obama, I don't believe for 1 minute, knew that his birth certificate was faked. He didn't know. He just didn't know. He couldn't have done it himself, he was a baby, so you may even have to rehabilitate him. Now I know you can do this, you can all pull together, you've got one country, one chance to save it now, this is it. This is my advice to you as your ghostly president. As you can see, I'm doing it just for you and for no other reason. Good luck and God bless. All pull together now and you'll be able to do this.